Bring back civics education. What is civics education? A civics education is a class that teaches us about the fundamentals of our government. It teaches us about how our government works and how we can effectively bring change. We are a capitalistic society where us as citizens are granted the opportunity to participate in our government and affect change. But how are we supposed to participate and affect change in our government if we don't even understand the fundamentals of it? In high school, most states actually do not require a civics education class. Rather, if they do, it's only a half-year credit. Only a small percentage of Americans actually understand how our government works. So, why is civics education important? Civics education is important because it actively teaches us how to be involved in our government, how we can call our senators, advocate for change, bring change, and talk about what we believe. It also teaches us how to think critically. If we understand the way our government works and different things, we see things in the news, we hear things on the TV and different things on social media, and we think about, is this what our government wants to protect? Is this the liberties that our government has granted us? Are these different things? We're able to think about it, able to understand what they are. We're also able to communicate effectively. If we understand how a bill comes to law, how our Constitution works, what our freedoms are in the Bill of Rights, our amendments, we're also able to think about that. Is this a capitalistic idea? We're also able to debate in an educational way. I believe that debate has been lost over the past couple of years, where my way is correct and your way is wrong, and there's no diversity of thought. There's no talking about different ideas. It's this way or that way, and that's it. I believe that a civics education will teach us about the different ways that we can debate in an educational way and be able to teach and talk to us about the different things of our government. It also shows citizens how they can protect their civil liberties and our inalienable rights that we have been granted. Talks about our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of carrying a firearm. Because if you know your rights, you can claim your rights. According to a 2016 study led by the Annenberg Public Policy Center, only 1 in 4 Americans are actually able to name the 3 branches of government, which is the judicial, legislative, and executive branches. In a civics education class, you'll be taught how a bill becomes a law. A bill becomes a law as it's introduced, people talk about it, it's introduced to the House, then the Senate panel, then the Senate, then it's brought before the governor, and the governor can veto or sign that bill. You also are taught how you can advocate for change in your local, state, and federal government. You can call your senators. If a bill is trying to be passed and you don't agree with it, you can actually call them and say, hey, I don't agree with this, and state why, or you say, hey, I actually agree with this, and I'm glad that you're doing this. You can also go on NewYorkState.gov and you can vote for a bill or a law. You also understand the powers of the president, what the president can and cannot do. You also talk about what the House of Representatives, what they can and cannot do, and what they actually do. You also understand how the Senate works, what they can and cannot do, how they vote, and what their powers are. You also understand the Supreme Court, the Justice of the Supreme Court, what cases they take, what cases they don't, what are they based on constitutional rights or different types like that. To be allowed into our country, you as a legal immigrant, you are to take a test and pass it that talks about the history of our America, our government, our Constitution. But only 39% of American citizens actually can pass this test. 39% of Americans. Shouldn't Americans understand America, understand what they are living in, their society and their government? We want our younger generation to be actively involved in politics, advocating for change on the front lines of social change and different ideas. But how can we want them to advocate for change and bring change if they can't even understand the fundamentals of our government? Our government has been set up for us to bring change. So shouldn't we want to bring a capitalistic change? Shouldn't we want them to fight for ideas that go for a democratic society? A successful democracy works if people are informed about their rights and they're informed about how our government works. This allows them to advocate and participate in their government and defend the freedoms that have been laid out to us in our Constitution.